Hello friends, and welcome back to the new Movies, Munchies, and Moscato. I am Rhonda, and this is your movie and TV review podcast. If you're interested to hear a funny opinion on all things watchable, please stick around, grab that glass of Moscato, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Okay, so let's just start off with some movie and TV news. So, Paul Walter Hauser has joined Fantastic Four and will now star alongside Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Julia Garner. So, I have no opinion on Julia Garner being the Silver Surfer. I've only ever seen the two early 2000s movies that had Chris Evans and Jessica Alba in them, and I really enjoyed them. And I love Julia Garner ever since Ozark, so I think it could be really cool to see what a female does in the role. The cast is already awesome. Paul Walter Hauser, I have loved ever since I saw him in the TV show Kingdom with Frank Grillo. Of course, Pedro Pascal, is from The Last of Us. He's awesome. Vanessa Kirby has done so many things, most notably, the Mission Impossible movies. And then, of course, Joseph Quinn is riding high off his, Stranger Things fame. So I just think the cast is awesome. I think this is a good sign that this movie will be awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen with it. Then we have Michelle Yeoh, who will next star in Blade Runner 2009. This will be for Prime Video. It is going to be a direct sequel to Blade Runner that starred Harrison Ford. So it's not going to be, I guess, anything having to do with the sequel that came out with him and Ryan Gosling, I assume, from what I've read so far. So I was a late bloomer to the Blade Runner series, but when I did watch it just honestly last year, I did enjoy it. So, and I love Michelle Yeoh, so I will definitely give this a try once it comes out. So in what I'm loving news-wise this week is Colleen Hoover. She did a book called Verity, which I read with my book club, and it was awesome. So that is being developed into a film by Amazon as well. And I'm excited. I don't know they have no casting yet. It's just a really cool book, just to give you kind of an overview of what it's about. It's about a struggling writer who, is having some financial problems. She accepts a job, basically ghostwriting for a best-selling author named Verity, because she is injured at the time, and so she goes to ghostwrite for her, and then all these things just start occurring. She learns more about her life as she's ghostwriting this book, more about her marriage, her child, just and all these interesting things that happen. And I'll just say it does get a little weird, gets a little crazy. It was a wild ride. I mean, I read that book probably in a few days because it was really good. So I'm looking forward to that. And also another book by Colleen Hoover. I just saw the trailer on this week, and it's called It Ends With Us. I've had this book series for a while because a friend gave it to me for Christmas 2 years ago, and I have yet to read it. And the trailer looked good. And I don't know if anyone out there agrees with me, but I was a little thrown off because I didn't know what the book was about. It kind of was sold to me as this romance, and the trailer makes that quite obvious that is not the full story. So I'm just wondering if any of you guys out there feel the same way, who never read the book, only heard great things and how awesome and romantic it was, and then you saw the trailer and was like, wow, that's not quite what's going on here. So I like Blake Lively, who's starring in it along with Justin Baldoni. So I'm still looking forward to seeing it. It just surprised me when I saw what was going on. So let's get into some movie reviews. I saw two recent movies I want to talk about a little bit. So first up is Challengers. It stars Zendaya, Mike Fast, I can't remember how to pronounce his name exactly, and Josh O'Connor. So basically it's about Tashi. She's a tennis player who her career unfortunately is cut short by an injury. She has these two guys that she met when she was young, an up-and-coming tennis player who, of course, love her, want to vie for her affections. And it's really interesting because they do present all of their relationships like a tennis match. There's a lot of back and forth. The camera work even presents it as a back and forth like it is a tennis match. So it's very tense. It's very... I don't know. It's interesting. It is very tense. When I went and saw it with a friend of mine, she just kept saying, she's like, "This, I'm liking this movie, but it's making me feel uncomfortable." So that's just kind of the feeling you get from it. All three of them did a fantastic job. Josh O'Connor, who some may know from The Crown, he played a young Prince Charles. Now King Charles, but he was so good. It's so crazy, like how he's such a good actor. It's like you see him in that, you see him in this, you see him in interviews, and it's a complete personality shift, and it's awesome. He's really good. Zendaya was awesome. It was great to see her, in a nice adult role, playing someone her own age and killing it. And then Mike, who I remember loving from the West Side Story remake that Steven Spielberg did a few years back. He's awesome, as well as Art, who ends up being her husband in the film. Josh's character, Patrick, ended up, he dated her first, and then he ends up being a rival, and it's just there's just a lot going on. I enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of discourse about who's right, who's wrong. They're all not great people. I am on the side out of all of them, out of Art. I think he was probably the least awful out of all three of them in the end. But yeah, I just thought it was a really good show. If I had to rate it out of 5 stars, I would give it 4.5. It was pretty good. And the other movie I saw was The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. So this is based off an 80s TV show that I actually do remember watching on the peripheral, in my parents' house, because it was one my dad liked to watch back in the 80s. And that show was about a stuntman who was a PI on the side to supplement his income. And I remember the stunts in that TV show being pretty cool. I remembered the theme song, which actually does play at the end of this movie. So this was really fun. Ryan Gosling, love him ever since The Notebook, and he's just continually done awesome work. Emily Blunt, loved her ever since The Devil Wears Prada, and she keeps consistently doing great work. So basically, he is playing Aaron Taylor Johnson's character's stunt double in this movie. His name is Colt Seavers, and so Aaron's character ends up disappearing for a bit, and so the producer on the film, played by Hannah Waddingham, ends up asking him to please find him because if you've seen the trailer, you're a stunt guy. No one will miss you if you're gone for a little bit. So he agrees to find him so they can get this movie finished, because he's in love with the director named Jodie, who's played by Emily Blunt, and so he agrees to try and find him. But of course, all this craziness happens when he's trying to locate him, because he's involved with nefarious people. And it's just so many cool stunts that you get to see along the way to him trying to figure this out. So it's a comedy, it's an action thriller. You got to have those dramatic moments, in there, between all the characters when one does something wrong, one's trying to correct it. It's just really great. Great whodunit. So I really enjoyed it. If you haven't already, I really would suggest seeing this. I would give this one 4 stars. It was an enjoyable time. I hope they actually do a sequel to this. I mean, how it ended, probably not, but if they made it more like he was a PI on the side, I can see how that would work. So I just thought this was a good time, so I highly recommend it. Let's get into some TV show reviews that I've seen. So I finished Fallout on Amazon. This stars Ella Purnell, Walton Goggins, Kyle MacLachlan, and Aaron Clifton Moten. So just the basics of this. This is set from a video game. Never played the video game. Honestly, when I first saw the trailer for this late last year, I was like, it didn't honestly draw me in. I ended up just honestly watching this based off of word of mouth. That was it. That was all and luckily I did, because the first episode pulls you in. With this one, Amazon did release all the episodes. Most of the time they don't do that with their shows, but in this case they did. So this is set in a future post-apocalyptic Los Angeles that was brought about by a nuclear bomb. And so you have half citizens living underground in bunkers to protect themselves, but those who didn't get a bunker that live on the surface, you have mutants, you have regular people, just people that unfortunately didn't fare well after, of course, the nuclear bomb exploded. And so the people in the vaults, in these bunkers, most of them, if they were born in the bunkers, because it starts off like in present day and then flips 200 and I want to say 19 years into the future. And so a lot of our main protagonist, played by Ella, her character name is Lucy, in it, she was born in the vault, so she knows nothing else. She's never been to the surface. You know, all these kids like her have been taught about life and the nuclear explosion as they see it, and you know, so they're just kind of living in their little world. It's interesting. It has like a 50s aesthetic, even though it is current times, so it's very interesting. So she ends up going to the surface because her dad ends up getting kidnapped by people from the surface that come down to get him. And so she's like, I'm going to get my dad back. She ends up going to the surface. And then she just has all these crazy adventures, which I can see from the adventures how these could be a video game scenario. It was really well done. It's funny. It has kooky characters, has a lot of sci-fi aspects that I'm not the biggest sci-fi fan most of the time, but it really worked in this series. I'm looking forward to season 2 because I have heard that has already been greenlit. It's a go, so I do highly suggest you check it out. She's really great. I've seen her in Yellow Jackets, and I'm so happy that she has the show as well to go out because she's awesome. Walton Goggins, who plays the Ghoul in this series, he's from Justified, a series I also love. It's like another great show that has an awesome cast. And Kyle MacLachlan, he's been around forever, been since the Twin Peaks years, if y'all are old enough to know what that TV show is. So it's just a great show. This is definitely a 5-star series to me. I would definitely recommend giving it a watch. And then I also watched Shogun. This is a series on Hulu. This stars Hiroyuki Sanada, Anna Sali, and Cosmo Jarvis. So this is set in Japan. It is based on a book, an old book that's set during the year of 1600. So it's about Lord Toranaga, played by Hiroyuki, who is fighting for his life. All these enemies are trying to basically take his seat on the council that he's on. That way they can get all of his territories and basically be the main ruler, aka Shogun. I was only surprised I liked this too. It was really well written. It has a slower pace that works because you have all this history and story that you're trying to get in to us, the audience, especially for those of us who never read the book, which I heard is very vast. So from what I understand, they did a very good job condensing it down to this. I want to say it was a 9-episode series. It was released weekly, but now it's all out on Hulu for you to watch all at once if you haven't checked it out yet. It was just so well done. I've loved Hiroyuki, weirdly enough, since I know he's in other stuff, but I first saw him in the TV series Revenge that I loved, and then, you know, he's obviously done so many other great things. And I understand actually came from a music group, and so she's just getting into acting now, and she's so good. Like, you would never know that this isn't something that she's been doing for years. So it's just a really good show. I love Lord Toranaga, and I love her, and I love Cosmo Jarvis. He's playing, you know, the English gentleman who ends up getting kidnapped and put into his care, into the Lord's care. And Anna is playing his translator, basically, because it's so interesting, too, because at this time period, it's just Portuguese that's spoken. Yes, they're speaking English, but we're just supposed to know that to them, us hearing the English is actually hearing it in Portuguese. So it's very interesting. Lots of factors at play. The council, you have a brothel in play, and the owner of that, and then one of her courtesans in play. You have the Portuguese ship that he came off of, that's in play. You have you know, the church that's in play and how big of a deal that is to everyone with the church's involvement. There's just so many factions, and it just works so well together. So I do recommend Shogun. I'm going to also give this a 4-star. It was a great watch. And lastly, what I'll talk about is, of course, Bridgerton, Season 3, Part 1 on Netflix. If you've been listening to us for a while, you know I'm a big Bridgerton fan, and I'm just so happy that it's finally back after, I want to say, a 2-year absence. It's unfortunate they're releasing it in 2 parts. We won't get Season 3, Part 2 until June 13th, but at least it is just a month wait. It's just frustrating when you just want to see what's going to happen. I know they did that with Stranger Things, of course. last year, and they'll probably do that again, honestly, with Stranger Things when it comes back as well. But so I'm not the biggest fan of this process, but at least it's not a 6-month wait, let's say. But I enjoy it. I'm not going to go into details. I know a lot of people love the romance of it all, but I love it. If you are someone who also loves it along with me, let me know, because it's enjoyable. I love Colin and Penelope. It's their season. Season 1 was Daphne and Simon. Season 2 was Kate and Anthony, and now it's finally Colin and Penn season, who are doing the friends to lovers trope versus the enemies to lovers or the strangers to lovers trope. So, and it's so neat to see the different dynamics of the different tropes and how they work. So, obviously I recommend Bridgerton if you haven't seen it, but for those who have seen it, I hope you're joining me in our Paul and Love, because they are great. I highly enjoyed it. Thanks so much for listening. Please check the show notes for the link to send me a text message. You can leave a review, make a comment, or just let me know maybe there's something out there you'd like me to cover. You can also find me on Instagram at movies_munchies_moscato, and we'll see you next time.